mirror, I guess. That's what I mean, technically. Remember, we are live in 2 places at once. Unfortunately, I can't tell you where that other place is. Otherwise, TikTok will take me off the FYP. Hey, love you too, Ruben. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our CAYA classroom. My name is Reverend Deborah. I'm an interfaith minister, a movement facilitator, and your shenanigan shaman. Watch for shenanigans today. We have been doing our Inner Light series all year long. We've been going through different layers of the energy body to really just inform ourselves about how our systems are designed and how they work. Can you imagine? I guess I can. That's funny. Can you imagine operating your vehicle your whole life and not knowing how it works? Yes, I can, because I am not a mechanic. Great analogy. So, it's November, and that means that we are moving to the soul star chakra and a couple of the upper minor chakras. We'll talk a little bit about the chin chakra, and we'll talk about the shoulder chakras, but I'm going to leave the rest of them off the menu for at least today. Maybe we'll get into some of the other ones. Remember that I have this thing for sale, and again, I can't tell you where to find it, so Godspeed. Hopefully you get it there. I guess this is how we're operating today. Yeah. So I have a couple of mudras, other tools to help align blindly evolving gluten Morgan. Thank you for the chuckle, friend. My sister's name is Morgan. Happens to be. So yeah, I will offer some mudras this morning. And we will, you notice today I don't have my board behind me. You can only see some of it. Should I move the camera over a little bit? I can do that. It's called Energy for Sale, and it's available at one of the most obvious places on the internet. The Smile Box place. The Smile Box place is where you'll find it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We are also doing a raffle for the book. There's 2 ways to enter the raffle, either by sending my gift goal here on TikTok, which is the butterfly wings. I haven't seen it yet, so I figured that would be a fun one to do. Or putting a $5 donation in the apps, which I can't tell you either. My tags, see? The LINKNBIO. I honestly, seriously debated whether or not to show up today because my capacity for, I don't know, my capacity for being here right now is very limited. I'll be real honest. So take that as whatever you will. Stay or not. Feel free. I have to prioritize getting through some disability SSI paperwork. So feel free to hang out for that. We will go through a little bit of that. I will probably be holding a mudra or two while I'm working through this. Again, we'll talk a little bit about the soul star chakra, the chin chakra, and the shoulder chakras. But for those of you who've been around here for a while, you know I often talk about the pirates, right? The internal family systems. And if you know internal family systems, you know there's a lot of conversations that go on, negotiating that goes on within yourself. It's all in the spirit of building a better relationship with yourself, learning to trust yourself, learning to love yourself, learning to be present for yourself, learning to shelter, shepherd, and care for yourself in a more full way. And for me, the last several weeks, or honestly months, I've been having some really difficult conversations with myself. So, but we don't have any answers yet. Blindly Evolving says life feels very strange right now, just doing our best. That's basically it. I find it difficult to share about the things that I struggle with in all of my desire to be authentic, to show up in my authenticity, to share with you guys what's going on in my life. I really struggle to do so because there is still some part of me that feels or tells myself, right, that any sort of complaint or any sort of acknowledgement of what's not aligned or doesn't feel good is somehow complaining or whining or, and I know in my wiser brain that that's not the case, right? Like we're allowed to acknowledge what's not working and it's important to do so. But it gets caught in my throat. I chew on it back in my molars. Yeah, disability paperwork is tedious. So, thanks for hanging out with me while I do some of it. I have been at this online teaching thing for 3 years, offering coaching, creating classes, creating content in hopes of being able to build something more sustainable. And the reality is I can't shoulder this entire business and community on my own while I'm also shouldering my home and everything on my own as well. Daniel, I appreciate the question. Um, Again, as I was just sharing, I really struggle to voice the things that I'm struggling with or that are difficult in my life. And I appreciate the request for me to share something I'm grateful for. At the same time, I've done so much of dismissing myself for and not allowing myself to speak up when something's not okay, that to immediately redirect the energy again right now and be like, okay, I was trying to share what I'm struggling with. So let me just skip that and talk about what I'm grateful for. It's a kind of way that we gaslight ourselves. Gratitude is really important. Gratitude is absolutely an important place to visit, right? And maybe to live as well. But we are not static creatures. We're never we're not static. We don't get stagnant. We don't perpetuate the same thing. And so any sort of idea where we're like, oh, let's just live in love and light, the toxic version of the spiritual community. Let's ignore our shadow. Let's ignore the stuff we're angry about. Let's stuff down rage and this what have you. True balance is holding space for both without needing to run away from the stuff that's uncomfortable. Thank you. And that's why I was trying to kind of respond gently. Like I wasn't trying to be like, "Meh," but I wanted to explain to you sort of where I'm at. And as somebody who's actually been through a good deal of difficult situations in my life, just by the nature of my life and my experience, I guess, um, a lot of times I've gotten to hear the dismissal that sounds like, you're strong, you'll get through it. You've been through so much. You must be so resilient. Tell me what you're grateful for. And all of them preceded, almost all of them preceded people then walking away or going, well, I can't actually support you or help you. I just wanted to tell you, blow some more wind your way. I don't know. Again, this is why it's so difficult for me to even speak up about these things, because immediately I feel like either I'm being judgmental about myself, about others, about and my capacity for being judgmental of others is so, it's one of those things I chide myself for a great deal. If I ever find myself thinking in judgment, I pause and I'm like, wait, hold on, what are we projecting? And I try to take it apart. But that has again thwarted my own inner experience of accepting or acknowledging what's really not working and being able to actually change it because of that, because of the lack of awareness of it and the lack of my own ability to even like sit there and look at it. Yeah, I used to try to fix it too. That was me. I was the perpetual fixer. I was the type A person who was working several jobs 110% every freaking time to those jobs. And it ended me up with a disability. Here I am filling out paperwork. I've been unable to work besides this teaching that I do, yoga, coaching, what have you. I get to set my own schedule. Those days that I can't show up because of the disability, I don't show up. And I don't get fired. um, but it's also a very new place for me to be. It's also really difficult for me to be in this place because of being a type A person, because of being somebody who was always able to work and always able to push myself further than probably should have, to now be sitting here filling out disability paperwork. Having lost our food stamps this month, I'm unable to buy food for my son. And I'm already down to eating one meal a day regularly with our food stamps because it still does not cover the cost of food for both my son and I. And as much as I want all of this teaching and all of this coaching and all of this community to continue to thrive, if I and my family can't thrive, One of the first tenets of the 8 limbs of yoga is the idea of ahimsa, of nonviolence. And when we think of nonviolence, we oftentimes think of actual physical aggression. And we think, okay, be nonviolent. Just don't deck somebody. Just don't punch somebody. Just don't like say mean things to somebody, right? But we often don't think about or talk about the violence that we commit upon ourselves when we ignore what we need, when we subjugate ourselves or martyr ourselves for other people because we think that it's where our value is or what's most important. I worked so hard to prop up capitalism. Thank you, friend. To prop up other people's businesses that I'm literally, again, sitting here with a disability, sitting here trying to fill out this paperwork. If I end up in a wheelchair or I can't get out of bed or something worse happens to me, I'm a single mom. There is literally nowhere for him to go. We have literally no one to take him, to raise him. It's just me and him. If I apply for disability and need food stamps, I'm a bad mom. If I break myself, right? If I go out and get a job that hurts me until he's alone, then I'm a bad mom. If I continue this business, which actually brings me a great deal of joy and I know benefits a lot of people and allows me to be with him, I'm a bad mom because I'm not making enough money. If I go out and I get a job where I never get to see him so that I can make enough money, I'm a bad mom because I'm not spending enough time with my son. There is no way to win if we look at what other people expect us to do. Thank you, Blindly Evolving. It's addressed. Sorry, I know I missed a couple of comments when going on a little rant there. Thank you guys for the gifts. Hey, Glitterbee. Amanda, you asked, what can I do personally for you? You know, to be really honest, like on the one hand, we need the reality is we need an income. I have been, again, pushing the coaching that I do, the classes that I do, the workshops that I do, the shop that I have, now the book that I have for the last 3 years. And I know that a lot of people really, really benefit. I know that a lot of people really, really love this. Thank you, Lady B. And I appreciate that, right? And this is that piece where I'm like, I struggle to talk about it because I don't want you to feel like I'm not grateful. This has been an amazing journey for these last 3 years of doing this. I want to keep doing this. What do I need? I need people who can to go grab memberships to show me that this is sustainable. Thank you, movement. Thank you, friend. I wrote down some quotes somewhere because that's what it is. I need to see that this is sustainable. I need to see that this is working. And last year, when I was putting a whole lot more time in, I was able to move the needle, right? Thank you, Daniel. I was able to move the needle and I was able to make almost like $800 a month, which honestly, the way that I've structured our lives, we don't have a lot of bills. If I cover everything, which includes a streaming service or two, right? We don't have insurance on vehicles, stuff like that. I don't have rent right now. I have intentionally crafted my life in a way so that the bills would be as little as possible. But I have to figure out how to make it balanced. I have to figure out how to make it balanced. And I don't know how to make it balanced without on it just asking you to go to the place that I can't say on TikTok because TikTok dings me for sending you off platform. Somebody said TikTok cannot read. My cursive is so terrible. You can go to this place. I feel like a middle schooler. I feel like a middle schooler. You can go to this place. I move with change in this place. I offer coaching memberships. I offer replay memberships for all of those classes that I was doing the last 2-3 years. I have group coaching. I have private coaching. Before my son was born, I was still running my own business. I called myself a full circle doula because I had couple years earlier, gotten certified as a doula, as a birth support person, right? And I realized that the kind of support that we get when we're going through labor is all encompassing, right? I used to use this term called pies. I would offer physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual support as a doula. I'd offer pies. And I realized that the birthing process is something that happens to us again and again and again in our lives, not just when we actually birth children, but we rebirth ourselves. We go through all these transitions. We go through job changes, school changes, relationship changes, personal changes, growth, spiritual changes, And so I created a business of being a full circle doula. I would show up when you were going through something that was when life was squeezing you. That was my little bit, right? Feeling like life is squeezing you. It's a rebirthing process. Life does that, puts the pressure on when we're about to move into a bigger space, when we outgrow the space that we've been in. I used to do hands-on stuff. I used to do everything from body work to childcare to herbalism to house cleaning to helping people move stuff to helping people build stuff. I would show up and say, I've got a huge box of tools back here. Let me help you move through this transition in your life. Let me support you as you sort these things out in life. And when I had my son, I made the commitment that I would put all of that energy into him and I, because I'd literally spent my whole life taking care of other people, even childhood. Yeah. Oldest sibling here. And I have been trying now for 9 years to create some sort of iteration that supports us. I have dropped back into the W-2 jobs here and there, but I got diagnosed with something called NTOS, neurogenic thoracic outlet syndrome, NTOS, back in 2017, 2018, something or so. I was working full-time as a cook, and I was actually making a name for myself. I was up in Alaska. We were up in Alaska. I was working at a really great little restaurant there, working underneath a seasoned chef and learning all sorts of amazing things. And people came in to have my food. I was cooking breakfast. I started cooking breakfast and people started coming in on the days that I was working. That's a huge thing. If you've ever been a cook, if you've ever worked in service, you know that means something. But all of that fast-paced kitchen, lifting, moving, cooking, cutting, doing exacerbated something that was already brewing. Unintentional lyrical fun there. And I ended up on my back for a solid 3 days. My son was 2 or 3 at the time. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't roll over. I could barely freaking get myself to the bathroom and back for 3 days until I finally was able to move again and got myself to the doctor. And that's when X-rays show not only do I have an anomaly, I have my C7 vertebra and C7 and C6, I think. Each one has wings on it on either side. Mine are particularly long. I joked when I got that information. I was like, see, that's why I can fly in my dreams, because I really do have longer wings. So anyway, it turns out that the stress response of doing this can actually create long-term damage. When you lift your shoulders like this, what you do is compress the thoracic outlets. Your thoracic outlet, go ahead and drop your shoulders back down if you're crunching them up with me. Your thoracic outlet, here. Yeah, we will. Okay. So the collarbone. The thoracic outlet is just underneath your collarbone here. And what goes through the thoracic outlet is a big bundle of nerves, blood vessels. You've got tendons there that when you do this, they end up getting restricted. They end up causing damage if you do it long enough. I have been, again, type A, 100%, 110% kind of worker, kind of person. And holding myself up here to protect myself, to work harder, to put more into it, to try harder, to be stronger. I don't fucking know. But I had to completely change my career. I could no longer make food for people like that. I couldn't carry people's children all the time. I couldn't rearrange their houses. I couldn't go in and clean their houses. I couldn't go in and build heavy, big projects. I physically, my body said, you can no longer do any of the things that you've been accustomed to doing. Or you risk nerve damage in all 4 extremities. Or you risk your neck seizing up, losing feeling down your arms. Okay, all right, I hear you. I'll back off. So I tried different kinds of jobs. I tried going back to school. And I tried teaching yoga and coaching so that on the days that my nerves are pinched, on the days that I can't feel my left leg, I can rest and I can care for myself so that I don't lose the ability to use my leg. And then last year I was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos and endometriosis as well. I'm on the early side of perimenopause, and they want to screen me for cancer because it runs in my family. I want to just sit here and teach you guys about chakras. I want to just practice mudras and meditation. And I've been doing that for the last 3 years. But in most months, we still don't get all the bills covered, but at least it's enough to show that something is happening, that it's moving, it's going, it's growing, it's right. But this month I can't feed my family. Thank you, friends. Thank you again. I like I appreciate all of you sitting with me as I process this, as I speak this out loud. Again, it is really difficult for me to speak out loud. Thank you, Glitterby. It's really difficult for me to talk about without feeling like I'm complaining or like I'm begging you guys. And this is and I don't want to do that. The whole point of this whole teaching and sharing information was to really shift us away from the nasty marketing stuff, from the subversive sort of like, from the if you don't gift you don't care, right? From any of that manipulation. It's what my book is about manipulation, about how marketing fucking gets you and how your culture. I can't even talk about it because I'm so mad about it lately. Blindly evolving. That's how I was. Balls to the wall, all areas of my life. Then I lose my sight, and it brought me to my knees and a standstill. Yep. After the diagnosis with NTOS, I did try to change, right, a little bit. And I ended up, again, working in kitchens just fewer nights a week. I did work as a bartender for a while and just fucking gritted my teeth through the pain of it. And then I had 2 seizures and started to lose my eyesight. And that's when, that was 2021, when I had 2 seizures in the same year. Because I continued to try to overwork myself. I continued to try to push myself. And when you fall flat on your back and don't remember what happened, and your son is standing there at what? 6? He was 6, maybe 7, 6. That's a whole different perspective. Red Mama Yeti, our governor is out of the country right now, conveniently. Kotek, I have really nasty things to say to Kotek. If you're not aware, last year, Governor Kotek here in Oregon passed the House Bill 35, 38, 42, something like that. I'll find the numbers for you. But once upon a time, Oregon used to move foster kids from Oregon to facilities in other states. This process was supposed to put an ease on the Oregon foster care program. Unfortunately, what happened was that they ended up shipping these kids off to really terrible fucking places that ended up getting charged with, for this and that, for misconduct, for other mistreatment of the kids. Like, it was a really bad program, and we shut it down. We said, this is not the best way to take care of our kids. It's not working for our kids. There's too much risk. We have to figure out something else. And last year, Governor Kotek not only reopened that fucking program, but Governor Kotek also changed the name, changed the definition of abuse in these facilities. by changing the definition, by changing the terms of when you can lock a child in a room by themselves, of when you can restrain or put your body pressure on a child to restrain them, as well as a couple other terms. I left a really seething message, but of course, she went ahead and passed that bill. I was really trying, Mama Yeti, I was really trying to not speak on politics and just stay really focused on my personal situation and the way that I am trying to shoulder, literally, metaphorically shoulder my situation, because my situation is not unique. I know that a lot of other people are struggling right now for a lot of other reasons and backed into a corner. Leif, you started living in your car to save. Yep. That's why I moved my son and I into an RV years ago. We started living in RVs because I knew as a single parent, it was going to be impossible for me to be able to rent. And then not only that, but a lot of places require, again, 3 times the rent, plus a good credit score, plus previous references or rental history. And as somebody who's traveled around and lives in all these different kinds of versions of housing, I don't have any of those things. I don't even qualify. I can't even try. They scoff at me and they're like, so I was lucky enough to be able to save enough to buy us an RV. I recently had somebody earlier this year come to stay with us who was supposed to help on the property, help me with my son, and help with so that I could focus on business. That individual seriously damaged my RV. I had to spend several months cleaning it out, and there's still the smell of cat piss on my front dashboard. There are still 6 or 8 lights that are broken. I can't even turn on my bedroom light. I don't even want to talk about what's down the drains. Cat litter and food and other sorts of nasty things. Glitterbee. I just read your comment. It said you wanted to create a system of mutual benefit, and the bulk of the benefits have been given by you. And I also feel like that's my fault. Like I genuinely feel like that's my responsibility. Before I started the CAYA community, I was with another community. And the premise of that community was there were 3 of us building that community up. And we invited other people in who wanted to share information and who wanted to learn, right? Teachers and students, because we're always both. And the idea was that we were building a community where we could also offer mutual aid, mutual benefit, where people could offer classes for free or charge for them, entirely up to you. We used Mighty Networks. We had separate doors for every single teacher we had. You could sell memberships on your own. And what happened for the year that I was with that community was that I was the only one who was doing front-facing stuff. I was the only one on social media pushing it really hard. I was the one who built this entire TikTok. None of the other community members were participating in building that TikTok. That's why this TikTok turned from the name of that community to the name of this community. I want to blame it. I want to blame it on myself because I'm 110% kind of person. And when I say I'm going to do this thing, I show up and I do it, even when it's not yet making me millions of dollars because I don't expect it to, because we don't, you don't put the dough in the oven and suddenly expect fucking bread. You gotta, you gotta work on it. Or you don't put the fucking flour in the oven, expect bread. You gotta knead it. You gotta work through it. You gotta put some energy into it. And that's what makes it beautiful. That's what makes spells powerful. Your intentions powerful. That's what makes you powerful, is your ability to put energy and focus and your resources into what you care about. And maybe by way of doing that, I don't invite other people to do it as much. Maybe people see me doing it and go, "Oh, you're great at it. I don't need to do it." Or, "I'm not as good as you at it. So I don't want to do it. You should do it." But I realized last year that I hit a glass ceiling. I hit a glass ceiling last year. I don't have the finances to pay the people to do the things I need. I don't have the finances to pay for the apps to do the things that I need. And as one person plus homeschooling mom and trading my housing for work, or for my work for my housing, there's only so much time during the day to edit content, to make it look good for you guys, to make it reasonable, to plan out all of this content for an entire year, and I do it anyway. I do it anyway because I want to share this with you, because I want you to know how important this stuff is. And if you don't want to buy my book, if you don't want to pay for coaching, you can at least have a space to come in and ask questions, because sometimes we can't always pay the fucking money to get us through the door, but we really need what's inside the room. Silver Wheel, love your book, Energy for Sale. Still reading it. Oh, yay, my friend. I'm so glad. Happy Saturday, Zach. So you can buy my book if you're interested in my book. You can buy my book on the Smilebox place. There are LINKs in the BIOs. And you can find me on this place, this TikTok shop, at Move with Change. If you have something to teach and you want to offer that teaching to a community, we've only got 200 something people in our little Discord space, but we've got over 13,000 here. I'm not trying to be a famous person. I'm not trying to be a billionaire. It's ludicrous. I don't care. I want you to have the keys and the blueprint to your system so that you can figure out what's right for you and go fucking do that with your life. There's too many people out here in the world saying, "I have the answers for everyone. And if you follow me and pay me all your money, then I will show you exactly how to do it." And at the end of it, again and again and again, every week that you go deeper in there and every dollar you pay, you feel a little like you received a little less and a little less and a little less. Those fucking workshops where you're like, "Oh, a free workshop where I can actually get info on this." And it's entirely sales. It's so gross. It's so gross, and it's grossly obtuse that we can't even just sit here and be like, "Hey, I have some cool information," right? Let's share these things with each other. Let's teach each other. Let's have time bank shares. Let's have information shares. Let's have free fucking workshops. Let's encourage each other to share what we know and what we do best, because it means so much more when it's coming from a person. Thank you for the gifts, my friend. Blessed Sam Hain, Silver Wheel. Yeah, Red Mummy Eddie. Come join my hour-long pitch. A little gotcha. Yeah. The rest is several $1,000s because I'm part of the money mindset group. Sorry for mocking, but it's kind of like the fake, it's like the love and light thing where you stay all in love and light. And it's like, no, I'm just going to charge exorbitant amount of money, a totally like inaccessible thing, and pretend that I'm super exclusive. Can we all just start at the beginning and say, and this is why I created this community. This is why I teach the way that I teach, right? And even in my coaching, I will tell you all the time, I am not your guru. I am not the master of all of this information. I have obsessively, high neurospicy self, PTSD self, I have obsessively searched to understand why we do what we do, how we do what we do, and how to fix what we perceive as broken. And I'm still fixing. I'm still healing. I'm still unlearning, unraveling, even the idea of having to fix. I'm sharing this with you because it's profoundly impactful on my life. As somebody who's gone through trials and tribulations and fucking abuse and all the not all of them, okay? Not all of them. You don't need to exaggerate, obviously, but like, we give to the world what we most desire, what we most need. I believe that you deserve all that is available to you in this world. You deserve the opportunity to reach the heights that you want to reach, travel the distances that you want to travel, to see the things and do the things and try them out. And if you ask a question, there should be somebody there to be able to answer it for you. I got a restriction? What was the restriction for? Because it redirects users to purchase products outside TikTok. This is in line with the For You feed eligibility standards. Under our current community guidelines, we are updating to support best user experience. Means that the creators on TikTok, if we use TikTok, TikTok must get a cut of whatever it is that we are making. All for the gift of having your content falsely flagged, lives restricted, AI content pushed. And to be honest, this is another piece of it. I am so tired of fighting TikTok. I don't know if you saw my video, but a little while ago, I came across a live where somebody was just running an AI video. It was a video that they were claiming that they would find you if you sent the gift. Anybody who sent these kinds of gifts. And there was a recorded voice over top. And it would play throughout the entire live. They didn't respond to any of the fucking comments. They didn't actually find any of the people. It was just this video going through all these searching, whatever, and then pretending to show you things, right? And I'm like, is this AI? Is this AI trying to figure it out? People are spamming it with gifts. People are throwing fucking money at this come find me sort of live. Then suddenly it disappears. Now I followed the person, figure this out. It disappears, only to come back a moment later with the exact same video, the exact same voice recording. And if you listen, as you know, AI does, it stays with its accent for a while and it'll suddenly kind of like change the accent and then come back to the accent. I realized it was completely AI. People are throwing hundreds of gifts, huge gift